And welcome to The Knowing Show. I am your host, Christene Marie. Happy Friday. Happy day 107th of this year. Y'all, I love getting on here with you every day. It's just such a blessing to be reminded to live every single day with intention. The etymology of the word intention is as it pertains to the definition used in the Middle Ages and 1500s particularly. It really has so much to do with engaging every faculty of our being, our mind, our soul, our inner being, as well as the external manifestation of our actions. And so this word of intention really has so much to do with our approach to what we're going to be reading today. We're reading through lesson 107 in A Course in Miracles. And the goal of the Knowing Show, for those of you who are new to join us, has to do with engaging and cultivating the human intelligences. We're in a world of artificial intelligence, and this show is dedicated to cultivating you and me, and ultimately what separates us from these agents and bots that are rising and taking over more and more. I was just at an event actually this week in New Orleans where we were doing a deep dive into AI, and I showed up late. There was a funeral in my family earlier this week, and so I arrived in New Orleans the last day of the event, and then the second day we actually spent in implementation, and it was so good and learned so much. And AI is super, super powerful, and it really beckons us to kind of rise to the occasion and cultivate ourselves right along with it. So to that point, I am going to read some review lessons just to kind of see what has been preceding today's lesson and get us to the point of lesson 107. So with that, I'm going to start with just a review of lesson 91. Miracles are seen in light. Lesson 92, miracles are seen in light, and light and strength are one. Lesson 93, light and joy and peace abide in me. Lesson 94, I am as God created me. Lesson 95, I am one self, united with my Creator. Lesson 96, salvation comes from my one self. Lesson 97, I am spirit. Lesson 98, I will accept my part in God's plan for salvation. Lesson 99, salvation is my only function here. Lesson 100, my part is essential to God's plan for salvation. Lesson 101, God's will for me is perfect happiness. Lesson 102, I share God's will for happiness for me. Lesson 103, God being love is also happiness. Lesson 104, I seek but what belongs to me in truth. Lesson 105, God's peace and joy are mine. Lesson 106, let me be still and listen to the truth. Lesson 107, truth will correct all errors in my mind. What can correct illusions but the truth? And what are errors but illusions that remain unrecognized for what they are? Where truth has entered, errors disappear. They merely vanish, leaving not a trace by which to be remembered. They are gone because, without belief, they have no life, and so they disappear to nothingness, returning whence they came. From dust to dust, they come and go, for where only truth remains. Can you imagine what a state of mind without illusions is? How it would feel? Try to remember when there was a time, perhaps a minute, maybe even less, when nothing came to interrupt your peace, when you were certain you were loved and safe. Then try to picture what it would be like to have that moment be extended to the end of time into eternity. Then let the sense of quiet that you felt be multiplied 100 times, and then be multiplied 100 more. And now you have a hint, not more than just the faintest intimation of the state your mind will rest in when the truth comes. Without illusions, there could be no fear, no doubt, and no attack. When truth has come, all pain is over, for there is no room for transitory thoughts and dead ideas to linger in your mind. Truth occupies your mind completely, liberating you from all beliefs that in the ephemeral. They have no place because the truth has come, and they are nowhere. They cannot be found, for truth is everywhere forever now. When truth has come, it does not stay a while to disappear or change to something else. It does not shift or alter in its form, nor come and go and come again. It stays exactly as it always was, to be depended on in every need and trusted with a perfect trust in all the seeming difficulties and the doubts that the appearances the world presents engender. They will merely blow away when truth corrects the errors in your mind. When truth has come, it harbors in its wings the gift of peace, constancy, the gift of perfect constancy, and love which does not falter in the face of pain, but looks beyond it steadily and sure. Here is the gift of healing, for the truth needs no defense, and therefore no attack is possible. Illusions can be brought to truth to be corrected, but the truth stands far beyond illusions and cannot be brought to them to turn them into truth. Truth does not come and go, nor shift nor change, in this appearance now, and then in that, evading, capture, and escaping grasp. It does not hide. It stands in open light, in obvious accessibility. It is impossible that anyone could seek it truly and would not succeed. Today belongs to truth. Give truth its due, and it will give you yours. You are not meant to suffer and die. Your Father wills these dreams be gone. Let truth correct them all. We do not ask for what we do not have. We merely ask for what belongs to us, that we may recognize it as our own. Today we practice on the happy note of certainty that has been born of truth. The shaky and unsteady footsteps of illusion are not our approach today. We are as certain of success as we are sure we live and hope and breathe and think. We do not doubt we walk with truth today and count on it to enter into all the exercises that we do this day. Begin by asking him who goes with you upon this undertaking that he be in your awareness as you go with him. You are not made of flesh and blood and bone, but were created by the self same thought, which gave the gift of life to him as well. He is your brother, and so like to you, your Father knows that you are both the same. It is yourself you ask to go with you, and how could he be absent where you are? Truth will correct all errors in your mind, which tell you you could be apart from him. You speak to him today and make your pledge to let his function be fulfilled through you. To share his function is to share his joy. His confidence is with you. As you say, truth will correct all errors in my mind, and I will rest in him who is myself. Then let him lead you gently to the truth, which will envelop you and give you peace so deep and tranquil you will return to the familiar world reluctantly. And yet you will be glad to look again upon this world, for you will bring with you the promise of the change which the truth that goes with you will carry to the world. They will increase with every gift you give of 5 small minutes, and the errors that surround the world will be corrected as you let them be corrected in your mind. Do not forget your function today. Each time you tell yourself with confidence, truth will correct all errors in my mind. You speak for all the world and him who released the world as he would set you free. I think this has to be one of my favorite Course in Miracles. So I don't know. Actually, I don't think many of you receive my emails. I don't send many. I send about one a month. And I sent an email last week regarding truth. I was having this, I guess you could say, kind of squaring off in my mind with my uncle passing away and death and life, and even in just being with family, having these questions around what's true, and allowing for the truth, capital T truth. What does God say? Take first place, and take the seat at the pinnacle of the hierarchy of all lesser truths, because there's an aspect of the physical reality that holds truth that does not hold eternal value in terms of what is. For example, death is true here in this physical world, but when you add in the dimension of eternity and spirit, and you actually add that into the hierarchy of the way that we view the world through the perception of God, how do you see the world? And in donning his lens and adjusting our own dials to mirror his outlook on life, then all of a sudden truth becomes much more layered. Now it's like, okay, here's the physical truth of this moment of death. But then what's even more true? What's greater than this moment here and now? And what stands beyond my feelings, even the physical reality of death? And so this concept, truth will correct all errors in my mind. Y'all, we've been over the last couple of days just discussing how every pattern is built, everything that we do is built on a belief system. And that belief system is usually built on an experience that we had, often in childhood, but it could have been in our 20s, that ultimately adjusted the lens through which we view the world. Every experience we have threatens to, and subconsciously, apart from our own intention, we were talking about intention at the beginning of the show, which is engaging every faculty of our mind, body, soul, spirit. It adjusts the lens through which we see the world. So without our conscious intent to maintain the lens through which we see the world or to consciously adjust the dials, our experience will subconsciously adjust our dials for us. And so a lot of us live in a very subconscious way with our lens and our dials preset based on our past experiences. So thus, we're never seeing the present for what it really is. It's colored through our past. And so this conversation today and over the last couple of days around truth ultimately is re-examining the very even definitions of words, re-examining our own patterns and narratives that we hold to consider what is more true than what I have known to be true my whole life. And what holds an even deeper reality than, we're using this concept of death as an example, which is probably one of the best examples we could ever look at, because the physical reality of death, where it's like, no, this is real and this is true. And there is a greater truth bolstering that. And so perhaps less contentious or even severe example could be when we mess up and we make a mistake. And maybe we actually there's colossal physical consequences. Maybe we do something that is even irreversible. So then the question is, am I still loved when I make a mistake? Am I still loved even when that happens? Am I still worthy? Is there a greater truth than the physical truth of what I've done? And that's ultimately, at the end of the day, what are kind of those core foundational truths of who God says I am? How I then will show up in the world as a result of that more true identity than even that action that I took? And how do I allow for that core truth and that core identity of what does God say about me then to change ultimately the way that I show up? Because if we really believe that, if that is a fundamental belief system of being loved, of being worthy, of having intrinsic value, then that should inform the way that we live. If the way that we live is not in congruence with what we espouse that we believe, then do we even believe it in the first place? And so as we're looking today at this lesson 107, truth will correct all errors in my mind. The question, I guess, is, well, what errors are we believing? And being conscious of that which is unconscious, the unconscious narratives, the unconscious programs and patterns that we've been living our life according to. It's like the unconscious script that's running our lives. And so today, as we look at this lesson and just reflect on it, she always encourages us to take a couple minutes every day, 5 minutes on the hour, which I have to set my alarm because I don't do it by memory. But in that practice, 5 minutes a day, multiple times a day, ideally, but just taking that time to retrain our mind and become aware of what is subconsciously in the driver's seat. Where should and where does truth actually reverse that pattern or that narrative or that script? And what would it look like for me to abide by the true identity of who God says that I am? Because y'all, all of a sudden you're going to see a lot more people with their shoulders rolled back and loving well because they know who they are. We're coming into this phase of, I think, humanity, where we are seeing more and more people dependent on AI, more and more people dependent on digital technology, more and more people disconnected. It's like an emotional epidemic where there's more loneliness and depression than ever before, yet we're also more connected than we've ever been before. And so this concept of emotional health, the whole goal of the show, which is to cultivate the human being and the human intelligence and activate every single one so that we can live with intention, is really, so much of it is the antidote to this internal human suffering that we're experiencing. And so this is why this show exists, is so that we come to gain so that we come to gain not just an awareness of who we are, but ultimately be changed by the truth of it and love others well and live in the fullness of why we're here in the first place. I wholeheartedly believe every single one of us has a core, meaningful reason for being here, and that it's not an accident, and that our life has value and matters. And then the question is, okay, then what is that? And we can only know that so much as we actually take the time to know ourselves and know who God created us to be in the first place. And then we can take action as a response. And then our life, the very life that we live, is a reflection of that. That's when I said earlier, like, we walk with our shoulders rolled back. There's a confidence there, and there's a surety and a confident. The concept of hope is a confident expectation of good. So if I am confident in what I am and who I am, what I'm called to do and who I am, then I'm actually going to have hope for a good outcome as I walk out my days. So that's where truth comes into play. What's a greater truth than death? I think that's a question for each one of us to answer. What's the truth that is going to dictate my life? What are the key rocks, I guess you could say, kind of like core rocks that are the foundation of this life I'm building, that thus I have hope in, and that guides me in the way that I live. And these belief systems are ultimately kind of the guardrails. You know, I think of who I'm called to be and what I'm called to do as kind of like the targets that I'm aiming for. Like, think of the bowling alley where they're the pins in the bowling lane. But then the beliefs and values are the guardrails that guide us on the way and inform how we get there. And the narratives and scripts that we run, and the patterns of behavior and beliefs that ultimately guide us towards that goal. So I'm going to go ahead and jump over here in the chat. Good morning, my friends. Glenn, good evening. Praveen, good evening. I said good evening. Good morning. Oh my gosh. Good to see y'all. Drake, hello. Rivik, hello. Tyrone, hello. Tyron, sorry, I said your name wrong. Christian, good to see you. Joe, Mike, hello. Man in the Hat, I'm so glad you're here. Best fan, hello. Mike, Erica, hello. Oh, I already said hello to you. White Batman, hello. I'm just scrolling down. The Belajana, we were reading A Course in Miracles. Oh, thank you, Tyron. I appreciate that. Comic Book Fusion, I'm so glad to see you. Darrell, hello. Darrell, your comment made me laugh. You know, it's interesting. I'll send you a note about it. I'll actually send you a Facebook message about what you're saying. Dijar, I'm going to go ahead and put you. I'm just going to block you because we don't talk like that here. Ali, hello. Dude, hello. The Balajana says, we're letting machines think for us. Isn't that so incredibly true? It is wild. You know, I think of it as, how do we actually ensure the cultivation of our mind? You know, we're talking this morning, and every morning we talk about the cultivation of our mind and spirit, specifically in the morning show. We have an evening show. It's been a bit irregular, but normally we'll go live at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. And in those evening shows, we talk about the cultivation of the intellectual and emotional intelligences, whereas in the morning, it's spiritual and kind of cognitive intelligence, you know, cultivating our mind and ensuring that our mind is actually coming into submission to us, you know, who's at the driver's seat of our mind. And so often it is those subconscious patterns and those subconscious scripts and narratives that we experienced in childhood. So I think you're absolutely right. This is so funny. I'm reading some of these. Man, Dan, hello, lady. Man in the hat, thank you for I just am reading these. Thank you for being so wonderful. With Batman, I'm going to go ahead and block you. It doesn't seem like this is the place you want to be, so I'm going to go ahead and block you. So you can stay on if you'd like, or you can go elsewhere. The Gray Tone, hello. I'm so glad you're here. Michael Owens, hello. Thank you. Thanks for joining. I'm so glad you came. You have such Lajana, you know what? I think that is just, he says peace radiating. Y'all, isn't that so much of the goal to have, like, oh man, I just love the way you phrased that. What do you want in terms of the presence you bring into a room? What do you want your presence to be like? And y'all, I actually think that that's a really, really important question for us to consider. You know, Eternally Spinning, I just saw your comment too. Thank you so much for joining. You know, what kind of energy, what kind of presence, how do we want people to experience, not just even experience us, but here's the thing that's so interesting. So, okay, I'm going to riff for a second if you'll indulge me. This book, Letting Go, which is the prize that I'll give on Wednesdays when we play trivia. This Wednesday we didn't. We actually had a really good conversation, but normally on Wednesdays we'll play trivia. And the prize that I always give out is the book Letting Go. And the reason why I love this book so much is because it provides a framework around how to effectively get free when we're at this place of being so like people, and I'm sure you guys have experienced this, I've experienced feeling like emotionally stuck and like I cannot get out. And I'm just so upset or so hurt or so disappointed or whatever the emotion is. And this book talks about how to, and it assigns numerical values and numerical, literally, like numbers to emotions. And so shame is one of the lowest numbers on this scale. And so I think that it's number 20. That's shame. And then you go up to grief, which is 50. And then you go up to pride, which is 150. And then you get up to courage, and courage is 200. And peace is 600. And so there's something about the energy that we bring where people will talk about frequency. It never made much sense to me, but as I'm reading this book and it assigns numerical values to emotions, that makes so much sense to me around how, man, and you see it in the way somebody shows up when they're in shame, they're hunched over and small, and there's just like a diminished energy that they'll bring, a diminished emotions, because that's where they are emotionally. And so then when you experience someone in joy, I think joy is like maybe level 500. Hello, it's nice to see you. And there's this freedom, and there's this literal, energy, but there's this, what's another even way to say it, where they're bringing life. There's like a life force behind this energy that they're bringing at that level of joy. And even peace, it brings life. And so it's like the lower you go on this emotional scale, it's like the less life you bring, but then the higher up you go, the more life you bring. So that question of what kind of presence do you want to bring to a room? How do you want to feel? And what presence do you want to bring into a room is such a beautiful question, because we get to choose in so many ways. We get to choose how we show up and how we engage with the world and how people experience us. We get to choose our own internal world. And that is the thing that becomes, I think, a conduit for life to other people. So I'm just jumping back here in the chat. Okay. You know what I realized? This is why, okay, so give me 1 second. All right. I just realized, I'm so excited. I just realized that I can come onto the live chat because I was blocking on Restream and it wasn't working. But I realized I can go into the live chat on YouTube and make the changes myself for people. All right, I'm so excited. Okay, cool. Man in the hat, I think we're good. Thank you for being so wonderful. Oh my goodness. All right. TM, hello. the gray tone. I'm lucky to have you guys. I'm truly simply blessed. I'm so glad to see you. The only two hip, hello. MM Morris, hello. Balajano, he will bring perfect. That's Isaiah 26, right? He will bring perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on him because he trusts him. The perfect peace. Yeah. I'm sorry. I just got so distracted. I just saw Man in the Hat said, "Yay, ban away." You know, it's so funny. I'm learning. I'm learning how to do YouTube. I've been connecting on Restream so that I can be live on Facebook and LinkedIn. But I realized I've banned people or blocked people, but it hasn't actually done it because I haven't done it in the YouTube chat. Y'all, let's go. We're cleaning this up. But anyways, back to what you said. He will bring perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on him. Where is our trust? And perhaps that's actually the question that we'll end with today. Where is our trust? Where are we placing our hope? Where are we placing our trust? And if it's something on this physical world, we will inevitably become discouraged. 2 days ago, we were talking about success. Actually, maybe it was yesterday. I think it was 2 days ago. We were talking about success. No, it was yesterday. We were talking about success. If our how do I want to say this? If our meaning is hinged on something external outside of us in this physical world, we will always be let down. And y'all, we've seen it. We've seen it with celebrities who have everything. We see it with billionaires who reach the pinnacle of their career and they're still empty. That meaning and that joy and that hope must be derived from an inner, that's why hope is like this inner confidence in something above and outside of this physical world. And it's also within us. So all that to say, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for you all joining today. Emitter base collector, good to see you. Image, Elohim, hello. Thank you guys for joining today. Man in the Hat, thank you for safeguarding us. I really appreciate you. I will be live again tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern. No. I will be live. I have therapy tomorrow morning. God bless therapy. And I will be live tomorrow. Let's say noon. I'll be live at noon tomorrow. And we'll move through lesson 108 of A Course in Miracles. So with that, thank you all so much for joining. Y'all remember today's lesson. Truth will correct all errors in my mind. Fixating on what is true and what is greater than this physical world, man, there's a lot of peace that can come from that. So thank you all so much for joining. I will see you tomorrow at noon Eastern. I'll go ahead and schedule that now. And I'm excited. I'm excited to connect with you all tomorrow. So have a wonderful day. I'll see you soon.